Yo, this is a quick starter guide for people who want to play and learn Fury Warrior. It's an absolute flurry of fun. You won't regret playing it, but your hands might, because holy shit, you are smashing keys 24/7. Seriously though, it's incredibly fun, very viable, and easy to pick up and do well with. They have incredible burst, highly mobile, and do an excellent job switching between single target and multi-target. We're going to cover stat priority, enchants, talents, rotation, tips I wish I knew when I first started, and Primordial Stones. This is mainly for Mythic Plus. My experience is like up to 2500 rating in Mythic Plus, so 19 plus 19 plus 20 keys. So that's mainly what this video is for you guys to pick it up, enjoy the spec, have fun. Even for Season 2, these talents and everything should work, and I'll probably make an updated guide if that changes a bunch. But if you have any questions, leave them down below. Let's just jump right into it. For stat priority, our main stat's going to be Strength. It's our main stat for Warrior. Usually get more Strength with higher item levels, so look for higher item level pieces. Then we have Haste, Mastery, Crit, then Verse. Enchants, for weapon enchants, you're going to look for Frozen Devotion or Sophic Devotion. If you're broke like me, you can do Frozen Writ or Sophic Writ instead. Cloak, we're going to want Graceful Avoidance. Chest, Waking Stats. Rings, Devotion of Mastery or Devotion of Haste, whichever one you need more. Bracers is Devotion of Avoidance. And then Legs, Fierce Armor Kit. Let's jump right into talents. I'm going to try to cover this as quickly as I can for you guys, just to mention I'm not going to go over every single talent, but mention the key things that I think are important. Hopefully I don't miss anything for you guys, but if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Also leave this build in the description, but this is mainly what I've been using. You can also use this for raid. I'd possibly, if you're looking for a raid build though, I'd probably switch this over to Titan's Torment. I'd switch Thundersword to Spear and grab Elysian Might, and then I might get rid of Onslaught and Tenderize and pick up Odin's Fury. But mainly, this is a great build. You can use it for almost all types of content, but mainly Mythic Plus, it's fantastic. Before we jump into both sides real quick, I just want to mention, quick thing here, the biggest part of us being a Fury Warrior is being enraged, okay? Becoming enraged increases your damage down by 20% for 6 seconds. Super important to maintain being enraged almost at all times. Mastery also increases damage down while enraged by 20%. So it's super important to be enraged all the time. You're just doing way more damage. Let's jump into talents. Let's start the Warrior side here. Berserker stance, defensive stance, both obviously really useful. We're using Berserker stance most of the time, but defensive stance is really good to reduce some damage you're taking if you know you're about to get hit by something maybe on Tyrannical Weeks or a hard-hitting mob in Fortified, like the big Water Elemental and Temple of Jade Serpent with the big AOE. If the tank is not tanking him in your corner or something like that, and you can't just dip behind it. But defensive stance really good. Make sure you use this. Just make sure you switch back to Berserker stance. Rallying Cry, super OP. Granting all party and raid members within 40 yards 50%, 15% temporary and maximum health for 10 seconds. Super good. Save your team, even save yourself if you need it. Impending Victory, our main heal, basically heals us for 30% of our health. Super important to use most of the time if you have it. Spell Reflection, oh my gosh, this is insanely OP. If you know you're going to be targeted by a spell, use this. It only has a 25-second cooldown, but it also, don't forget, reduces magic damage you take by 20% for 5 seconds. So if you're not going to take damage using that, even if it's not like an AoE damage, something like that might kill you, use this. It can save your life. Heroic Leap, we're obviously taking that. That's insanely OP. Pain and Gain is kind of nice. When you take damage, you heal for 4.5% of your maximum health. This can only occur once every 10 seconds, but super good. We're just tanky with this build. We really have one CC. Stormbolt stuns a single target for 4 seconds, but it can be really useful in a lot of different fights. We could pick up Intimidating Shout, maybe drop something else if we need to, but really we don't have to with this build. But Stormbolt's super important. Sidearm does a lot of our damage. It does not do a lot of damage, but it is like a 3 or 4 or 5% increase though. Your auto attacks have a 20% chance to hurl weapons at your targets and 3 other enemies in front of you, dealing 3,000 damage. I think it is 3 or 4% of our damage, so that's a big increase there. Overwhelming Rage, increased Rage. Barbaric Training, really nice. Swimmer Whirlwind deal 20% increased damage, and with this build, it's really nice. This is really important. Dual Wield Specialization. Make sure you have this. I just had a buddy that wasn't rocking this in his talents, but it's a 5% increase, so make sure you're using that. Definitely, it's insane. I was even messing around once and I unspec'd from it and didn't have it, and I lost 5% of my damage. So make sure that you're using that. Really important, just a buff for us. Avatar. Transform into Colossus for 20 seconds, causing you to deal 20% increased damage and removing all roots and snares. Super helpful. Obviously, we're using this almost every time in our burst window. And then, but don't forget, I can also remove all roots and snares. So if you're standing and shit, you shouldn't be. Most of the time, you want to use this in your big cooldown windows, burst windows, but you can use it for that. Berserker's Torment, activating Avatar Recklessness cast, the other reduced effectiveness. Super important to use this. Ties in with this really well. We're using Thunderous Roar. Absolutely insane. It's a 10-second bleed, basically. and it does some physical damage, but it's a big chunk of damage. You just want to make sure you're using it when targets are going to stay alive for the full duration. We also take Uproar, it reduces the cooldown by 30 seconds, and we take this one, which increases the bleed effect by 2 seconds, and increases the damage of your bleed effects by 15% at all times. So really nice there. I think that's the main side for the warrior trait. Warrior side of that, let's jump into Fury. We're taking Bloodthirst, obviously Raging Blow is a big part of our rotation. In Rage Generation, again, we're super tanky with this. We have a lot of heals. Reduces damage taken by 30%, and Bloodthirst restores an additional 20% health. Usable while stunned or incapacitated. This is really good. Super big for us to stay alive. Improved Enrage. Fresh Meat, this is important. Bloodthirst always enrages you for the first time you strike a target and has a 15% increased chance to trigger Enrage. This is why it's so important to keep Enrage as much as possible. So, you know, we have a lot of tools to do that. We have Bloodthirst, we have Onslaught with this, we have Rampage, Recklessness. It's insane. So Fresh Meat, super important talent. Proof Execute's really nice, doesn't cost rage, generates 20 rage, but this is really nice too. Big damage increase for us. Your auto attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown of Execute and make it usable on any target regardless of their health. So it's super important to pay attention with that. Let's see, a lot of these are important here, but I don't think you really need to mention too much about them. Improved Whirlwind. Whirlwind causes your next 4 single target attacks to strike up to 4 additional targets for 50% increased damage. This is just super important. So you're using Whirlwind, and then you're weaving. You're weaving Whirlwind into your single target rotation, which we'll cover rotation here in the future. But like your Rampage, your Raging Blows, Bloodthirst, Onslaught, whatever, will hit 4 additional targets. So you're weaving that in every 4 abilities, and it's super nice. We also have Meat Cleaver. Whirlwind deals 25% more damage, and now affects your 4 single target melee attacks instead of the next 2 attacks. So crazy important to do that. Right here, we're taking Recklessness. This is a huge part of our build. Increases all rage regeneration by 100%, granting you abilities 20% increased critical strike chance for 12 seconds. But here's where this is big. Every 20 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Recklessness and Ravager by 1 second. Okay, so we can basically use Recklessness, Ravager, basically all the time together, which is super important here. And then Avatar when we can as well. But I mean, anger management. Super OP, so make sure you're not overcapping on rage because we want to spend that rage as much as possible. This is also important. Rampage and Onslaught have a 20% chance to grant Recklessness for 4 seconds. Right there, huge. So Rampage, which is the biggest part of our rotation and our build, and it's our highest damaging ability. So using that more is just super important. And Onslaught. We're taking Onslaught. Basically enrages you for 6 seconds, has a 14-second cooldown, but Onslaught also enrages you. If you have Slaughtering Strikes, grants you 3 stacks of Slaughtering Strikes. Enrage now lasts 2 seconds longer. Super cool. Just a buff to our Enrage there. We're taking Ravager. It's just a great ability to have. Like I said, you want to be timing this with Recklessness if you can, but this is super important. Hurricane. If you guys watch my Arms Warrior video, Hurricane played it a little bit differently with Arms Warrior, but for Fury Warrior, it's just as important. While Ravager is active, every 0.8 seconds you gain 5% movement speed and 5% strength, stacking up to 6 times last 6 seconds. So that's why it's so important to be using Hurricane or Ravager towards the beginning of the pull, because we're getting a strength buff and then we're popping all of our cooldowns and we're just doing massive damage, massive burst. I think that covers basically everything with the talents here. If you guys, like I said, if you have any questions though, let me know down below, or have any feedback or things you think I can improve with this build. But I really like it. It's a ton of fun. For single target rotation and pretty much our general rotation overall, we're going to start with charging in Enrage by using Bloodthirst if you have Fresh Meat talented, or Onslaught or Rampage. Next, you're going to want to Ravager and Recklessness. They share a cooldown and will reduce them as we spend Rage. Next, you're going to Avatar, use Consumables if you have any, or Trinket, on-use Trinkets. You're going to Thunderous Roar. Then you'll Rampage whenever possible, and try not to overcap on Rage. Remember, more we're spending Rage, the faster we're getting back our cooldowns like Ravager and Recklessness. Then you're going to Execute whenever it's available. Onslaught, use both of your Raging Blows, and then Bloodthirst as a filler. And if nothing else is available, then you use Whirlwind. Make sure you're using your CDs on cooldown. So Thunderous Roar, Ravager, Recklessness, Avatar, try to use them together, but use them on cooldown as much as possible unless the mob is about to die or you need them for like maybe a certain pack or a certain boss. Always stay enraged. For AOE rotation, and this is probably why I like them so much and why it's so good for Fury Wars to switch between single target and AOE, because there's not much that adds onto it or complicates it. But you're going to follow your general or single target rotation, and then you're just going to weave in Whirlwind every 4 attacks. So, for example, we would Whirlwind Rampage, Execute, Raging Blow, Whirlwind. Because if you remember back in the talent section, Whirlwind now causes our single target abilities to hit for the target. So that is how we're doing AoE besides our big cooldowns. Again, you're going to want to use your big CDs on cooldown. So Avatar, Recklessness, Ravager, and Thunderous Roar as much as possible, but don't do it if the mob's about to die or you need it for a certain pack or boss. And you always want to stay enraged. It's so important. For Primordial Stones, we are going to want to get the Onyx Amulet, but we only have a couple weeks left of this, so I don't know how viable it's going to be next season. It kind of depends on your spec, your class, and everything to see if these rings will carry over, but I bet you will be using it, especially if you're not doing high-level dungeons right off the bat. You'll be using it for a while, I think. But we'll see, and I'm sure they'll be testing out, and maybe Blizzard will add something in. But Primordial Stones you're going to want to use for the Onyx Amulet. The three best are Storm Infused Stone, Desirous Bloodstone, and Prophetic Twilight Stone. Alternate stones, if you don't have those three, it would be Pestilent Plague Stone or Echoing Thunder Stone. Quick tips I wish I knew when I first started Fury Warrior, when I was brand new to this. First couple things I want to mention, I think you want to get 2 add-ons. One is Weak Auras, helps keep track of your cooldowns, your rage, how much time you have left for your cooldowns, how long you're in rage, which is really cool. It also keeps track of your Whirlwind buff, which you'll see here. So this is the 4 abilities I can use, and then I use Whirlwind again, like I mentioned in the AOE Rotation section. So this is really important to use. I'll leave it down in the description below where you can get it. I also would recommend using Details. It just does a great job keeping track of where your damage is coming from. Right there, you can see Storm Infused Stone did 34% of my damage on this training dummy I did just a second ago. But you have damage done, DPS. You can check healing, resources, interrupts, how you die. This is really cool to see. Like if I pull this up, I can see where my damage is coming from, which is pretty awesome. And I can also see interrupts, all this stuff. But I recommend these 2 add-ons. But the first tip I would say, or second tip I guess you can count if you count the add-ons, would be to maintain being enraged as much as possible. Obviously it's a huge damage increase, so if we come in here, because we have fresh meat talented with this build, if I use Bloodthirst on a target, it would enrage me. I didn't right there because I was on the training dummy before, but right here you can see on this yellow bar that I'm enraged right now, and I just want to keep that up basically at all times. So I can keep it up by using Onslaught, Rampage, Bloodthirst when I have fresh meat, and sometimes it occasionally will enrage you as well. So it's just super important to keep that up at all times. If you don't have a Rampage or anything like that, or Recklessness or anything like that, you can use Onslaught as kind of a filler. But it's important to keep up. You'll do way more damage that way. Next thing is use Defensive Stance when you can. This is super important when it can help out your healers during tough pulls. Might make a difference in whether you die or not. Just make sure you switch back into Berserker Stance because you're going to see a huge damage loss. But Defensive Stance, super important to use. Make sure you do it. Next thing I would say is Heroic Leap. Oh my gosh. Heroic Leap will get you out of situations like crazy. So you can use it. It doesn't just look cool. It's actually useful. You can use it to close the gap to jump into targets to start attacking, right? You can see my Whirlwind buff right there too. So it's going to go down every time I use this ability attack. But Heroic Leap, yeah, you can use it to jump into targets. You can also use it to jump out of shit. If you want to and there's a little hack you can do is not hack you can do, but you can Heroic Leap out and then you can charge back in for a little extra rage. But use it, don't be afraid to use it. And then again, Spell Reflection is so OP, reduces magic damage you take by 20%, and it will also reflect the first spell back that happens to you. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this video helped you guys out and you guys enjoy Fury Warrior. It's so much fun. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna have a Prot Warrior guide out here soon, probably some Hunter guides as well, maybe Shaman, any of the classes I'm thinking about playing. If you guys have any classes you've been wanting to play, wanting to try out, but want a quick guide on it, let me know down in the comments below and I will do my best to learn it if I don't already know it and then make a guide about it. Appreciate all the support in the channel lately. You guys have been absolutely amazing. It means a lot to me. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.